Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. Welcome. We got a lot to cover today. Of course, the big story is the Israeli attack on Iran and then Iran's response. Also, we're going to cover this publicity stunt by Padilla yesterday in California, which you got to say, for a publicity stunt, that could not have been planned at a worse time, since another Middle Eastern war may be breaking out live, and that'll take that off the burner. And it is Friday, which means open phones on the program. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday, and on Open MAGA Mike Friday, you can call in about any and everything on your mind. You don't have to talk about the topics we bring up. Monday through Thursday, we do our best to corral you in to discuss what we're bringing up. But on Friday, the show is up to you guys. Now, those of you on hold, stand by. I want to first talk, though, just to get a couple things out about this bombing of Iran. And I want to ask you guys some questions. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Did President Trump sign off on this attack on Iran? And when I say sign off, I mean, long before, did he say it was okay? Or did he get a call from Netanyahu saying we're doing it, and he says okay? Like he had no choice. What was accomplished by this? What was accomplished by this? You know, we all knew yesterday, at this time yesterday, that the attack was coming because the United States was withdrawing Americans from the area. And when they're taking Americans out of the region, you know war's coming. So if we knew it 24 hours ago, the Iranians knew it before that because they have spies inside Israel, like Israel has spies inside Iran. So what was really hit? Did they really hit anything that was going to be long-term damaging? If they have at least 24, maybe longer, intel knowing it's coming? And what was really accomplished by this? Now, I have an opinion that's a little different than a lot of people. I don't trust anything that intelligence agencies tell us. Intelligence agencies told us there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Never found them. Intelligence agencies came up with that phony baloney Russian dossier on our favorite president, Donald Trump. Totally fictitious. We ended this 20-year war in Afghanistan, many years of war in Iraq, and here we got the military-industrial complex. They're up early celebrating and high-fiving one another over this. You know, we've got this war in Europe with the Ukraine-Russian war, and who knows when that's going to end, and it could expand and get much worse. And now we got another war? No, I'm not happy about this at all. I know some people will be happy. Ben Shapiro, living the high life here in Florida, he'll be happy. Mark Levin, here in Florida, he'll be happy. It's very easy to support war when you're living in the paradise of Florida, when you have no skin in the game. This isn't some television show. It's not a video game. It's real, man, and it's awful. And I'm here to tell you that I personally believe that a greater threat to the United States right now is not Iran, but our greatest threat are the many millions of illegals that are inside of our country doing all kinds of terrible things that we talk about very regularly on the program. So that's, where my mind is. But since it is Open MAGA Mike Friday, I'm going to go to the phones before I share any more of my opinions on anything. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your name? You're on the air.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
All right. You missed your chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday to you.
Yes. Are you at the Mark Levin Ben Shapiro beach party celebrating the Third World War, or are you in your house?
Well, here we go. You're a history buff. Neville.
I'm not a history buff. I'm a credentialed historian.
Reborn. Neville Chamberlain reborn with your propaganda. There's no way you could sit there on your duff where you are, and I am triggered this morning because you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. am 100% for Israel, but I'm against this. Hold on 1 second, Brian.
Hold on.
Damn.
What happened?
Okay, you're okay. My alarm went off. I said it every day so I can listen to your show. Listen, you're against this, but you're for Israel. You're talking on both sides.
Well, that's like, as an example. Excuse me. Excuse me. The last 4 years, you and I are, as always, for the United States, but we were opposed to what Biden did as our president in Afghanistan, as an example.
There's a big difference. Let me ask you a question. Who was behind October when they slaughtered all those Jews? Who was actually behind it? Who's been behind the Houthis? Who's been behind basically Syria? All of them.
Listen,
who's been the
listen.
kahuna
Right now, Iran. Right now, Israel is still dealing with Gaza. Now they've opened up a possibly second front in a war. A two-front war doesn't sound very smart to me.
No, you're not. It's not intelligence. You're not, like you always say, you're not in the classroom. You're not dealing with reality. And this is not Mark Levin, because Mark Levin, basically, I'm going to say this to you. When you believe that the suicide bombings and everything, these people don't care. They believe in an afterlife, and you don't think that they were going to use that nuclear bomb if they got it on Israel. You are so naive.
This is what I know. This is what I know. President Trump has been very vocal and against this, and I'm not so sure he's President Trump.
Let me tell you something. Here we go again. You always say, well, they're suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. You're not dealing with a business deal, man. You're dealing with maniacs. You're not dealing. If you're dealing with Adolf Hitler, you're going to go sit at a table and you're going to say, "Let's negotiate." You know, sometimes I wonder about you. You got Trump in your mind.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm never against Trump.
Well,
Trump was wrong with this one.
Well, I don't. What was he wrong about? What was he wrong about?
He's wrong because the negotiations. He just got the middle finger yesterday morning.
No. We're talking about the attack. We're talking about the attack.
He got the middle finger.
Yeah, because they knew this. Because they knew. Richie, I'm going to hang up. Listen. I know you're emotional, okay, but I'm not going to just let you. I'm not going to let you hijack the conversation. We're having a conversation here.
You're naive.
All right, appreciate the call. If I can't get a word out, what's the point? It's like talking to Renee from Harlem, talking to Richie today. Maybe Iran backed out because they knew this was coming. Did you think about that?
Yeah,
you're on the air. I'd love to talk to Richie, but come on. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Jeff from Maine, Brian.
Hey, Jeff.
Gaza, war, and the Iran attacks are one and the same, Brian. You know that. Iran is funding all the wars, all the attacks on Israel. They are simply defending themselves, Brian, and Iran has vowed to wipe Israel off the map, and they have every damn right to defend themselves with preemptive strikes whenever they decide to. And God said, I'll bless those that bless Israel. I will curse those that curse Israel, and I'll always stand with Israel against Iran.
Well, not everyone in Israel supports what Netanyahu did here. Not all the Israelis support this. I mean, I'm sure some of those people that had the 100 drones come down on their homes, they're not too happy today. If they're still alive.
I do believe that, as in America, there's two governments warring against each other. That's the same thing going on in Israel. Do we agree with that? There's good and bad in our governments?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so my point is, Israel has been told that if Iran ever gets a nuclear bomb, they will wipe Israel off the map. The governments of Iran said that to and about Israel and America.
That's right.
So preemptive strikes are imminent when I believe Israel has the best intelligence in the world.
I don't trust any intelligence agencies. They got us in the war in Iraq. They came up with that dossier on Trump. And so far as the bomb, I don't know if I believe they were close to a nuclear bomb. I've been saying this a lot the last few weeks. I remember when George W. Bush was president, they were saying they were so many months away from a nuclear bomb. So I don't know if I believe that.
But can't we agree that under Obama, giving them $400 billion in cash, and I believe Biden was helping Iran again, that was helping them toward that goal. And Trump is
No, listen, I'm not defending Iran. I'm not defending Iran. But what the heck are we starting World War III for here?
But do you agree that the Gaza war in Iran
pretty much about 99% of Islamic terrorism worldwide is Iran backed? Yes, that is true.
Amen.
Yeah, that's true.
Amen.
That's true. Yeah.
So we need to remember, Israel is the size of Rhode Island, amongst in the middle of all those enemies surrounding them.
The big question is, did President Trump sign off on this? Now, of course, we know that he knew. I mean, I knew yesterday morning. You knew because President Trump's. Did President Trump, was he okay with this from the get-go, or is his opposition just for optics?
I'm not trying to be in the middle, but I believe Trump knew.
No. I'm not. The question isn't whether Trump knew. You knew. I knew yesterday.
Oh, I see.
Was President Trump all in on this attack in Iran, or did Netanyahu just say we're doing it and he says okay, right? Or was he pushing Netanyahu or agreeing with Netanyahu to do it? That's the question, because the story we're getting from the White House is Trump was opposed to it, told Netanyahu not to do it, and Netanyahu defied Trump.
And I believe that President Trump wouldn't lie about that. So I believe he knew, but he wasn't okay with it.
Well, if Trump's not okay with it, I'm not okay with it.
Do you think President Trump is up to date about the threat of Iran on Israel
he knows more than he knows more. Yeah, well, he's the president. He has access to intelligence briefings from the United States and all our allies around the world. So he's more informed than any of us are. Yeah, sure. And I'm sure Iran's full of spies for us and others. But if it's true that President Trump is opposed to it, I'm opposed to it because I'm always going to side with President Trump. If President Trump is for it, I'm not talking about new, I'm talking about supported this attack.
Yeah.
I would support the attack because I trust Trump to make the right decision based on all the information he has access to. But the story that we're getting is he did not approve and that he told Netanyahu not to do it, and Netanyahu defied him. That's the official line.
Correct. But my point is, would we let someone else dictate us what we are going to do preemptively to defend ourselves?
Yeah, but Israel really only exists because of us and our support. So because of that...
That's not true, Brian.
Oh, yeah.
Israel is around because God Almighty,
everything is here. Hold on a second here. Everything is here because of God. You know what I mean. Hey, listen, I got to run. I'm late for the break, but good to hear from you, Jeff. All right, callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. We'll be right back. Now, the question isn't if Trump knew. The question is, did Trump okay this? And did Netanyahu defy Trump, or is the word out of the White House a lie that they didn't? That they did not oppose it? That's just public. You're seeing the. I mean, that's the issue. Does that make sense? Huh. Very good. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'll go back to the phones after the break. We'll be back in about a minute. Welcome, everyone. I'll go back to the phones when we get back. Talk about that. You call me on the air. You tell me the facts. Things don't come out of my mouth based on your request. We'll be back shortly. Stand by. I don't take requests in the chat. I don't know what comes out of my mouth. Sorry. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Of course, the main topic of today is this World War III that Netanyahu has started? Did President Trump okay this? The question isn't whether or not the president knew. We know he knew, but did President Trump support this attack? And his denial is for some other purposes. These are the questions, all right? Now, but it is Open MAGA Mike Friday, open phones on Friday. You're welcome to call in about any and everything on your mind. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike.
You know, this whole thing with Iran, think about this. It's probably a deep state thing, you know, and think about it. When did our problems with Iran start? It started in the Carter administration.
That's true. I agree with that. Hopefully they'll end in the Trump administration. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian, Mr. Wellington.
Hey, what's up? Well, hold on. Give me 1 second here. My phones are just ringing off the hook. It's hard to keep track of who's who. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Wellington.
Yeah, that struck last night's unfortunate. I was hoping that we would be able to go forward with peace, but I kind of seen the tea leaves when they started with that travel ban from the Muslim countries again, and kind of understood what was going on with what Iran was saying back and forth.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's not that I don't stand with Israel or any of that. I would hate to see another war break down while we're dealing with all these other...
We got a war in Europe going on right now, okay? And President Trump's trying to end that. And now we've got another possible major war in the Middle East. I mean, come on. All this, you know, I find it hard to believe that these strikes are going to... I don't believe that there's close to a nuclear weapon as we've been told. I just don't believe that.
I mean, either way, you know, they haven't really been responding to the U.S. with any diplomatic urgency to do anything, you know. So it's not, you know, it's not that he wouldn't be okay with it. I would think that he would come out and say that he was against it regardless, if he was okay with it or not, because that's the way you want to perform diplomatically for the rest of the world, you know, in the view of what people can see. But, I mean, I kind of believe that he was for it because of the way they were reacting to us and kind of making us look bad. trying to make us look weak, basically.
Yeah.
But at the same rate, I don't like it. I'm not saying that I'm happy for it.
Listen,
what
since 9/11, okay, look at these military-industrial complex endless wars we've been in. We finally get out of them after 20 years. Now they got 2 more going. This and Ukraine.
Well, Yep, and I was hoping that Ukraine would be done by now. I was praying that it would be, because it's just a distraction. It's just another.
See, I believe personally that a greater threat to the United States are the tens of millions of illegals in our country, not Iran.
Right, and that's gonna rip focus away from that, and the news media is gonna be all over the place. So
yeah,
maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I don't really know. Hopefully nothing crazy comes from it, but I can guarantee it's not over.
It's never going to be over between Israel and Iran. The Muslims and Israel are never going to get along. The Muslims are never going to allow Israel to live in peace. It's never going to happen.
Right, and I mean, I kind of always understood that since grade school, So
yeah,
that's what
I remember when Independence Day came out. Remember the original Independence Day? And I went and saw it in the theater. And I remember we had at the radio station, we had a personal appearance in North Miami. And I went right from the appearance to see Independence Day with my friend. And there's this scene at the end where they do that big battle. And you see the Israeli fighter pilot next to the Muslim fighter pilot and their friends. And if aliens invaded the earth, the Muslims would still be killing Jews. It would not unite them.
I kind of agree with that, but these were pretty monitored strikes on who they were trying to kill. So I don't know how far it's going to get.
But you and I knew yesterday morning at this time the attack was coming because the United States was pulling our people out. If we knew 24 hours ago, Iran knew. With all their spies in Israel, knew days ago probably, or at least 36 hours ago. So did they really take out anybody that Iran didn't want taken out?
I mean, who knows the intelligence angle? But
if we knew, you and I knew yesterday. So if we knew 24 hours ago, Iran had to at least know then.
Definitely with the truth post that Trump put out prior to the strike, or prior to the announcement of the strike, that diplomatic lanes would stay open, then I kind of knew we were having something go on. But, they pulled people out of there. They were pulling people out of there last week even. So people know. People aren't stupid.
Yeah, they know. They know.
They probably knew.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate the call from Wellington, Florida. All right. Take care. Now, I want to tell you guys about this incredible new special that's going on right now, the 50% off beach sale at MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout. Listen, it's summertime, and there's an entire beach collection at MyPillow.com, and 50% off with our promo code Kane. They have everything you're looking for. They have beach towels, beach blankets, lounger towels, towels for kids, and a lot of other things for the beach. 50% off. Everything's plush, 100% cotton, extremely durable, perfect for the beach, for the pool. Really, you could even use them in the shower, or when you get out of the shower. Or the kids can use them over the summer playing on their slip and slide, okay? These are incredible deals. My wife and I, we've ordered some. They have many different colors, many different patterns. They are beautiful. Go to MyPillow.com and order yours, all right? 50% off. And you can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879, promo code Kane, K-A-N-E. And remember, you can use our promo code Kane on all the specials at MyPillow.com, not just the beach sale with the 50% off sale, but whatever the special is at MyPillow.com, you can take advantage of it with our promo code Kane, K-A-N-E, at checkout. We'll be right back. Yes. All right. If you're on hold, hang in there. It is open phones today. Open Mega Mike Friday. And on Open Mega Mike Friday, you can call in about any and everything on your mind, not just the topics that we bring up. Isn't that interesting? Yes, yes, yes. We'll be back shortly, those of you on hold. Awesome. Awesome. Just got some good news. Okay, we got about 1 minute and we will be back. If you're new to the program, make sure that you subscribe, all right? This is where MAGA comes to talk. We're in a radio station break for the bottom of the hour. We'll be back in less than 30 seconds. Look for me over the weekend on Newsmax, guys. I recorded an interview that'll air throughout the weekend, starting tomorrow night. We are back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. You guys keep an eye out for me over the weekend. I did an interview on Newsmax. I recorded yesterday. That'll be airing at various times over the weekend, starting tomorrow. So make sure you check that out. All right. Of course, the main topic right now is the Israeli attack on Iran. We were asking a lot of questions about that. The question isn't whether Trump knew. There's no way Trump didn't. I mean, you and I knew yesterday. The question is, did Trump approve of the attack on Iran? That's the question. As this started the Third World War, do you support the attack on Iran by Israel? It is also open phones, Open MAGA Mike Friday. Every Friday on the program, you can call in about any and everything on your mind. You're not limited to the topics we bring up. In fact, you don't even have to comment on the topics we bring up on Friday's show only. The number 888-465-2631. So far, it seems I'm the minority, at least so far as if I'm gauging by the callers, who is not in favor of this attack on Iran. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, this is good.
Yeah, can I get a...
No, you can't. Oh, boy. He didn't get to the punchline yet of what he thought would be funny. Okay, now, if you're on hold, hang in there. You know, I know we've seen the 100 drones that went back to Israel, and a lot of them were shot down on the way there and everything else. I get that. But I just don't support this. I just can't get myself to support it. I'm sorry. You know, convince me I'm wrong if you'd like, but I just cannot get myself to support this. Now, I do want to, before we take more calls on this, I do want to talk about what happened yesterday with Kristi Noem and this lunatic senator. You know, this Senator Padilla is not one of the famous senators. I wouldn't recognize the guy. If I saw him out and about, I wouldn't recognize the guy. There are some senators that are not just household names, but they're recognizable everywhere in the country. Other members of the House, too. But there's a lot of people in the House of Representatives and a lot of people in the Senate that you don't know. And this guy, he may be a little more famous today than he was, but he's not one of the big famous guys that everyone knows. So when he comes into a room, even, people don't know who he is. And there's no doubt in my mind that Padilla staged this whole event. Now, of course, he picked a very bad day for a publicity stunt because this incident with Israel and Iran will dominate the news cycle. But regardless of that, Padilla is going to spend the rest of his life, or at least the rest of his political career, milking what happened. And I know this. It is hot this time of year in Florida. It's the summertime, and it's warm in California during the day, too. Now, Padilla said that they should have known who he was because he had his name and it said U.S. Senator on his polo shirt that he was wearing. However, he was wearing a jacket that covered that up. So a couple questions about that. And he didn't have his ID badge, which I guess they gave him to be in the building for a briefing he was on. A couple questions I have about that. Was that his jacket that he was wearing, or did he borrow a jacket? I'd like to know why he was wearing a jacket on a hot summer day in Southern California. I can understand in the evening, but this wasn't the evening. Did he borrow a jacket, or was that his? And if it was his, did he put it on purpose to cover up that it said U.S. Senator? These are questions I'd like to know the answer to. And I'll tell you, the way that Kristi Noem's security detail behaved was appropriate. She defended her security detail on Fox later. You know, she is the Secretary of Homeland Security. She probably has the more threats against her safety than probably all the other cabinet members combined, because the entire border enforcement is under her authority. This battle of Los Angeles has been going on, and she's in charge of that. And here she is, really behind enemy lines, right? She's in California, which is an occupied state, occupied by foreign invaders, these Mexicans with their Mexican flags. The government of the state of California, Governor Newsom, and the mayor of Los Angeles, lifelong communist Karen Bass, are collaborators with this enemy force. Her security has to be tight. And what do they know? A grown man who's Hispanic with a Hispanic accent, he interrupts a press conference and he makes moves towards the podium. What were they supposed to do? If that were you or me, we'd be in jail right now. The only reason he's not in jail is because he's a sitting United States Senator. And, you know, well, obviously we know it was a staged event. He staged this whole thing. He probably was there for that briefing just to make this happen. And it's becoming very obvious that that's true. And it was very shocking to me. I'm hearing these analysts on CNN. I might play some of it later. They're even defending the security detail of Kristi Noem. What are they supposed to do? what they did was right. What he did was insane and out of control. But the Democrats, they got a bit of an issue. Now, again, the Israeli attack on the nuclear sites in Iran are going to hijack the news cycle and interrupt what they thought was going to be a few days of rage over this. You know, and I saw some of the coverage on MSNBC, and I saw the members of Congress marching with TV cameras, very opinionated and angry and everything else. And they thought they had an issue. They've got nothing. So they started this. This is a little bit of the exchange. This is Padilla at the Kristi Noem event yesterday.
Hands up, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary.
Now at this point, the security detail, and they may not know who he is, but he knows who they are. They're stopping him, and he's resisting. He is resisting federal officers on the protective detail of Kristi Noem. He's pushing back against them. And he's bigger than the guy that's trying to hold him back. And the guy's got his arms around him. Not only will he not give up, he's pushing the guy forward towards Kristi Noem.
Hands up, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your hands off.
Many of our ICE agents have been docked.
Again, and Kristi Noem doesn't miss a beat. She's very brave and doesn't miss a beat. She continues her talk to the press even during this possible attack on her. And what was he planning on doing if he wasn't stopped? He seemed pretty heated there. Now, this is the thing. I'm seeing Nicole Wallace and others teary-eyed over this because they put handcuffs on him and they didn't arrest. They arrested President Trump more than once. And they got a mugshot of him. That was okay. They were high-fiving each other. And he did nothing. Why is it okay to arrest President Trump, but an unknown person who's resisting federal officers on Kristi Noem's protective detail, putting handcuffs on momentarily because he won't calm down, he's acting like a lunatic, so they can figure out who he is and what he's about? Why is that bringing down the government? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Okay. Oh, my goodness. It's one of those days, guys. It's one of those days. The rest of you on hold, you hang in there. I'm going to get to some calls after the break. But I'm going to tell you that this story is going to fade away pretty quick. The Democrats are going to try to push it. It's going to fade away, one, because of the attack that's going on with Israel and Iran, but also because this is some of the worst acting I've ever seen by a Democrat, right? If they give out the Razzies or Raspberry Awards for acting for politicians, this is one of the worst. And the more that comes out, and more will come out, because the Democrats are going hard after the protective detail. And Kristi Noem's not going to stand by and allow her protective detail to be harassed and take hits like this. And what's going to happen, because they're going to have to defend themselves, we are going to get more information. Now, there's footage of it from every angle imaginable, and I've even seen liberal reporters saying he took steps towards the stage. He resisted. So when you have liberals defending the actions of her detail, it's over for this guy. All right, we're going to take our last break of the first hour. Call us on hold. Stand by. We'll be right back. Hey guys, if you are new, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you subscribe if you're new to the program. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll take more calls when we get back. Less than a minute, we'll be back. Welcome to the new subscribers. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Our number toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. It is Open MAGA Mike Friday. On Friday's show, the show preps up to you guys. You could call in about any and everything on your mind on Friday's show. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on.
How's it going, Brian?
It's turn down the volume of whatever you're listening to me on in the background.
Hey.
No, not hey. Turn the volume down. I can't understand you. All right, go ahead. You did it. What's on your mind? Okay, well, he wanted to keep the volume up. What am I going to do? You're on the air. It's a great. We've started off very well, all right? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once, twice. All right.
Brian?
Oh, you just made it.
Bill from Sanford.
Hey, Bill, what's up?
Well, this Padilla, I don't care if he was a well-known senator. Remember that father from Virginia whose daughter got sexually assaulted? He was in a crowd. He wasn't charging anything. He was being vocal. He got arrested, put in jail, and if I'm not mistaken, he was tried. This guy, I don't care if he was a well-known senator. When you rush through a crowd at a secretary of the United States, you ought to be in jail just like that father was.
Well, they put it, what he, and you got to understand, Kristi Noem, her threat level is higher than anyone because she's leading the Border Patrol and everything during these deportations, and she's deep behind enemy lines. She's in the city of Los Angeles, and then some big Hispanic guy resisting federal officers makes a move towards her on the podium while she's speaking live on television. He was a major threat. I agree with you. He should be in jail.
Absolutely, because there's no excuse for him to do that, and even if he was a well-known senator, the same thing should have happened.
I would not be surprised if the next day we see him in a sling and on crutches trying to play it up. Would you? He didn't have it on yesterday, but the next day when you have something like that happens, when you start to feel it,
All right.
All right, take care. I appreciate that, yeah. Democrats have a long history of doing things like that. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's George from Massachusetts.
Hey, George. Yeah. His line cut out. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
Hey, Doug.
I agree with you. I think this is something's rotten here, man. If Iran wanted to make weapon-grade uranium to make a bomb, why weren't they doing it in secret? Instead they open their big mouth and say, "Oh, we want to destroy Iran, bet to America, and we don't want to let inspectors
This is what I know. Okay, so far as what Iran has or doesn't have, we don't know. But this is what I know. President Trump has been very vocal for weeks. Don't do it. Don't do it, Netanyahu. Don't do it. And then they just did it. So was Trump in favor of this attack, or was he not in favor of the attack?
Well, I think he's not in favor of the attack.
Well, then I'm not.
If I was, I would certainly say that unless we can prove that they were making this weapon-grade uranium, they can talk all they want, I guess. But unless we can prove they're making something, we shouldn't be bombing them.
And so far as Iran walking away from negotiations, they knew an attack was coming. So maybe that's why they walked away. Yeah,
I guess what goes on behind the scenes, we'll never know. But you would think that if they wanted to make a bomb, by now they could have made it. All these years I've been hearing, like you said a couple of times, all these years you've been hearing that the next week they're going to have their nuclear bomb, and nothing happens. Now, either they have it, and then they're not using it, or they can't make it. I don't know why they can't make it. They're enriched in uranium, so something's not right.
That's right.
I think it's the industrial war complex coming up with another way to make
money,
more war
to make bank. Exactly. All right. Appreciate the call, Doug. I agree.
Connie,
You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Sonny in Fort Lauderdale.
All right, Sonny. Now here we go. Yes, Sonny.
Okay. Yeah, could George Soros has he committed crimes? Could George Soros be arrested by Trump? Would Trump dare to arrest George Soros?
I don't know. What crime?
Well, I'm asking you.
I mean, I would suggest that maybe you should be arrested for the crime of killing a radio show. You're radio death. You suck as a caller. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Steve from Montgomery County, near Philadelphia.
All right. Turn down the volume of whatever device you're listening to me on in the background.
I just did.
All right. What's on your mind?
I wanted to talk about the. I called you a few weeks ago. You might remember me.
Hold on 1 second here. I'm going to answer all these lines. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't remember.
Common?
You called me a while back, and what? And I don't. Maybe jog my memory.
I mentioned that your daughter and I have something in common. We were both adopted.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yes.
I knew you'd remember that. Anyway, I'm glad she's home. I know you're glad she's home from L.A. And I miss Kathy. I hope she's doing okay. I miss her on your podcast.
Yes, well, I do too.
Anyway, I want to bring up something that was on the news a while ago, not that long ago. Do you remember when James Comey posted the number 6847 on Instagram?
Yep.
You might find this very interesting. I did. I haven't heard you talk about it unless I missed it, and I haven't heard it on the news. Do you know that he posted that on May 15th? Do you know May 15th was exactly 8,647 days since 9/11?
Yeah, I did hear that, and Comey. I don't think Comey's into numerology.
No, I don't think so either. But I just think that's a very odd coincidence.
Yeah, I've heard. I don't know that that's true, but I have heard that said.
Well, it is true.
It is true?
Because I checked it.
You checked
it? I checked it on Google.
Yeah.
Yes,
I would say that's a coincidence. I wouldn't put anything so deep into anything Comey does.
Oh, no. Because if I'm sure the news would have brought it up if they knew about it, and they would have they'll look for any excuse to excuse his actions against Trump.
Absolutely.
The way they all hate Trump, so obviously they would.
But it was was also a staged event to give him publicity for his book. Just like this Padilla thing yesterday was a publicity stunt.
Yeah. Also, this thing with Israel last night really obsessed me. I mean, I knew it was good. I'm not surprised that it happened. I figured it was going to happen eventually. But, I'm worried about Israel. I'm worried about their retaliatory attacks.
Well, yeah.
I'm very pro-Israel. You know what? I'm Jewish. And, when it comes to election time, I hate being Jewish because, my people mostly vote Democrat.
That's sadly true, yeah.
But when it comes to killing Jews, that's a different ballgame.
Well, now there's already been retaliation, and there'll be more.
Yeah, well, I have to admit, I just woke up about 10, 15 minutes ago.
I can tell. You're not quite awake yet, I can tell. But hey, listen, it's good to hear from you. Thanks for the call. If you're on hold, hang in there. We're in hurricane rainy season. It's raining a lot. In fact, yesterday it was raining really hard at my house. Then it stopped, and then it started raining hard again. I mean, that's how it is, And a lot of people are new to Florida and don't truly understand hurricane prep. People take care. They get their hurricane shutters. They get all that stuff going on. But what's more important than anything is that roof. If you have a roof that's not up to a hurricane, you're in big trouble. And, when we have tropical storms, the way that they grade these storms, whatever the category is, they come up with the category a storm is, tropical storm or hurricane category, based on the sustained winds. But even in a tropical storm, you do get hurricane strength wind gust. Even in a Category 1, you can get Cat 2 or 3 or even higher wind gusts from a hurricane. And if you've got a wet spot on your ceiling, you've got a leak in your roof. And what those winds are looking for is an entryway into your home. And that leak in your roof, that loose tile, that loose shingle, if that's the entryway, boy, oh boy, you're in trouble. So if you got a wet spot on your ceiling, get that leak taken care of. Call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. Now remember, Tom Laporta is not just a roofer, he's also a contractor. And under Florida law, that allows him to work directly with your insurance company for the cost of the repair or replacement of your roof. He does every type of structure too, residential, commercial, municipal, and he works with every type of roofing material. He also covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. Give him a call. He's a good MAGA guy. He'll take good care of you. This number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone. You can call or text. It's really amazing. You got a company like this, and you have the owner's cell phone number. That's unheard of in the industry. And this is his real cell phone number, okay? Because Tom Laporta and I were friends. We text a lot, and this is the number that I text him and he texts me from. This is his real, actual cell phone number. I got a buddy on another radio station who gives out a phone number to get text. It's not his real phone, okay? He's got some app. This is the phone that Tom Laporta has in his pocket. So you just can't get him now. During the entire job and after, you can still get a hold of him on this number. 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. That's 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. All right, if you're on hold, you hang in there. 1 hour down, 2 to go. Again, it is Open MAGA Mike Friday. Open phones, any and everything on your mind's fair game. Although the big story today is the Israeli attack on Iran and this publicity stunt that Senator Padilla tried to pull in L.A. with Kristi Noem yesterday. But you can bring up anything you want. The number is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. We'll be back right after our top-of-the-hour break. Hey, guys, if you're on hold, hang in there. If you are new, make sure you subscribe. And look for me on Newsmax over the weekend. I did something that, unless you've been on the cruise, you've never seen. And I wore a shirt and tie. So you will see me in a buttoned-up shirt wearing a tie. You're not going to... It's worth watching just for that. You're not going to see that very often. Well, what happened is I was getting dressed for the TV interview, and my wife said, put a tie on. You got a tie for that shirt. And I do have a matching tie for that shirt. I've just never worn it with the shirt. So I put it on. And so shirt and tie. That's right. Okay. We'll be back in less than 2 minutes. Yeah. Yep, a shirt and tie. I did not wear a jacket because I do have a jacket that I could wear with that shirt, but it's hot in Florida. I didn't want to be sweating. Her show airs at different times throughout the weekend, so you can check it out. I said something that we were talking. I said something about Fetterman that you'll like it. No, it is my actual tie and shirt. I do own nice clothes. I just don't wear them that often. Welcome, everyone. If you are new, make sure you subscribe. I just hope it doesn't get preempted for this war. But it's on a bunch of times over the weekend, so. Saturday and Sunday. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. Hour number 2 has begun. Callers on hold, stand by. It is Open MAGA Mike Friday. Any and everything on your mind's fair game on Friday's show. But the big story, of course, is the Israeli attack on Iran we've been covering. And, of course, this pathetic fail of an attempted publicity stunt by Padilla with the great Kristi Noem yesterday. But, again, it is Open MAGA Mike Friday. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Connor from Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, Connor, what's on your mind?
So I'm wondering how you feel about things falling internally in this country, from everything from education standards to the social fabric to media fragmentation to us being divided more and more. Do you think this is just a product of time, the media,
If you would, that's a very vague, broad brush. But if you look at any problem that the United States has, it's because of the Democrats, liberalism. In fact, if you look back at anything throughout American history that the left say is a stain on American history, it was brought to you by the Democrats. So the Democrats are responsible for a lot of bad stuff.
Right, and a lot of your viewers may not know this, but we used to go to ramrods together and do gay stuff.
I doubt that. See, I knew we were building up to that. That's an old-time listener. Oh my goodness! And I will throw this out. That I'll wait for them to call back next time because I have an idea on who that is. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Mark Jameson, Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Mark, first names only are necessary. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, the reason I called is it's about Israel. I'm saying, what took them so long? Finally, I mean, the Iranians are threatening them for decades, and he didn't do nothing. I'm like, when is Israel going to bomb them idiots? Finally, they did. They took out their nuclear. I mean, it's about
What
time.
are you laughing at? What's so funny?
Oh, I think it's great, man.
What's great?
That they took out their nuclear capability.
I wasn't so sure I thought the story was they were so many, however, weeks away from having the capability.
Yeah, they took it out.
So they didn't have the capability.
They were close to
They were close,
it,
okay. They were close. They have been saying, listen, I've said this 1 million times. I want to say it 1,000,001. I have been hearing that Iran is so many weeks away from a nuclear weapon since George W. Bush was president.
Yeah, right. I mean, but
well, if they were 6 weeks away when George W. Bush was president, since then we've had Obama, Trump, Biden, and now Trump again. Were they really 6 weeks away when George Bush was president?
Well, why'd they do it? Well, why'd they?
Listen. Now again, if President Trump comes out and says they were going to have a nuclear weapon by such and such a time, I take Trump at his word, okay? So I always trust in Trump and take his word. However, he's been vocally opposed to this. And Netanyahu has wanted to take out Iran for years. And he's under a lot of heat in Israel. He's been prime minister off and on many times since Clinton was president. This might be his last time as prime minister, and I think he's had an axe to grind like Bush had an axe with Iraq and Saddam. I don't trust intelligence. The intelligence agencies told us there were WMDs in Iraq. There weren't. The intelligence agencies gave us that fake Russian dossier about President Trump, all fabricated. So I don't trust our intelligence agencies.
Well, who is it? Our intelligence agency or the Mossad?
They're all related. They're all part of the same thing. We're allies with these countries. I haven't seen any intelligence provided to us to definitively show us. I trust Trump, though, and Trump said don't do it.
They threaten all the time. They get on their podium and talk about, making Israel turn into glass.
They always say that, and they attack us all the time too. Iran. I'm not saying Iran's good guys. They're our enemy, Iran. But I just don't think it's smart to start a war in the Middle East while we have one going on in Europe. Plus, our country is being occupied by tens of millions of illegals, many of them violent.
Yeah, I mean that's on our end. I mean they
but something like this happens, we're going to be involved in it. Hey, appreciate the call. Thanks for the call. No, I'm not rah-rah for any war. Remember Iraq? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mr. C from Jensen Beach.
Steve in Jensen Beach, yes.
I'm just curious. No one seems to know the answer. Why don't we use water cannons to break up these protests like they do in Europe?
Water cannons?
Yes.
They're using rubber bullets.
Yeah, right. But the water cannons seem to, in Europe and all, they seem to disperse the crowds a lot quicker.
I don't know. I think what they're doing seems to be working. I mean, those rubber bullets seem to do the job, and they can target who they need to target, not just the whole crowd of people and reporters. I don't have an answer for that, but the rubber bullets seem to be handling it pretty well. And there's a PR move. What would happen if the Trump soldiers started using water cannons? What would happen? What would that do?
I think it would just disperse the crowd.
No, I'm not talking about with the crowd and the incident. Nationally, what would happen?
Oh, I'm sure he'll get negative reporting on it.
Okay, we would start to see. Well, when was the last time we really saw water cannons used in the United States?
Oh, that I couldn't answer.
The Civil Rights Movement, the Democrats used to use water cannons against blacks who were rising up against Democrat Jim Crow laws. So from a PR point of view, the water cannons, bad news. It would not be a good visual. But the rubber bullets seem to be a lot easier, and they seem to work.
Well, I just hope their aims are a lot better then.
Their aims seem to be all right. I mean, I've seen some of the thing. Yeah, they seem to be all right. All right, appreciate the call. Didn't you call about the water cannons yesterday? Wait, did you call about the water cannons yesterday?
No. But is my first call.
Okay, somebody called about the water cannons yesterday, so I didn't know if it was you. Hey, listen, Jensen Beach, thanks for the call, man. Take care. All right. I don't know. I guess there's different methods you can choose, and they choose the rubber bullets. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Rabbi David.
Hey, Rabbi.
David.
Hey, Rabbi. How you doing?
Good. Okay, so let's get to it. I'm not upset with you because you're not, in this case, supporting what Israel did. I'm actually upset with you because for the first time after listening for so many years, you're not supporting Donald Trump, and I can't believe it. Donald Trump is totally in support of what took place. He's still, at 6:07 this morning, when you went on the air, you probably didn't hear it, is still using this as an art of a deal of trying to get Iran to come to the table. But this is what he's doing. He's saying it's going to get more brutal. We gave Israel equipment, and Israel knows how to use it. This is his quote.
Well, he was against it publicly for weeks. It's happened, and now he's dealing with it. It's you can't change what's happened.
You say Kristi Noem is attacked. L.A. is invaded by concrete chips, but Israel being threatened by Iran over the years, and more recently, and October 7th, and what's going on with nuclear weapons. That's your limit.
I'm not. No, not at all. I'm not opposed.
Send in the Marines. Send in the Marines.
Well, no. We're not. Oh, come on. No, I'm not opposed to bombing Iran. I just don't think the timing. We got to get this war slowed down with Russia and Ukraine first. We don't need a European and a Middle Eastern war at the same time. Now, so far as President Trump, I've heard President Trump be very vocal, telling not to do this. Now it's happened.
Right. Now that's his way, and that's maybe Brian. Listen, maybe that's his way of telling Iran, okay, you're going come to the table, make a deal, or you're going to be hit.
That is possible.
Okay?
I agree with you.
I'm going to tell Netanyahu, don't do it, Netanyahu, don't do it, don't do it. Meaning Iran, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. I'm trying to hold them back.
Yes.
Like the guy in the bar.
Yeah.
He's holding them back. Don't fight him.
That's very possible.
He's using it.
That's very possible. I agree. I agree with you. That's very possible.
Right. And remember, Israel has fought all of its own wars. Not one American soldier was ever on the ground fighting any enemy of Israel. Okay,
that is true.
They might defensively try to stop a bomb from going over into Israel, but Israel fights its own battle.
But see, this is the thing. Your analysis on Trump very well could be true, and the art of the deal is multi-layered. Okay, but President Trump upset a lot of American Jews with this new tactic he's using with some of these Muslim countries like Qatar and Syria and everything else. And Trump is doing a Middle Eastern peace plan attempt in a way that's never been tried before. And I think he deserves an opportunity to try this new way. I hope you're right. I hope that he was using this against Iran, but I don't ever see peace between Israel and Iran. It's just not. The Muslims will not stop wanting to kill Jews. It's never going to stop.
So if you feel that way, why are you? If you really feel that way, maybe I don't feel that way, but if you really feel that way, why would you then say that that they should first try Trump's way of negotiating at the negotiating table with Iran? I mean, and by the way, one other little note: the world is not that neat where we have to finish this war before we get on to this war. Israel.
I saw us pushed into Iraq and this 20-year Afghan war. And it's upsetting. I see these drone hits that came into Israel. This is just the beginning of what Israel's going to get. People are going to die in Israel because of this in retaliation. And I'm against the people dying.
We'll soon see what Iran can do or will do. Okay, but Israel's not done.
That's right.
This has been waiting to destroy what's going on over there. These are real people over there in Israel. These are people who live every day, with this threat. Of what took place.
I don't think. I may not be communicating well today. But I'm serious, okay? I may not be. I'm not opposed to Israel taking out Iranian nuclear sites. But I just know that the president's been vocally opposed to it, and my real opposition is the timing. We got this war with Ukraine and Russia. We thought it would be over, and we got crazy people there, and that war could spiral out of control on a dime. And opening up a second front in the Middle East, I don't like it.
It's not opening up. It's been open. In fact, right now, as we're talking, my brothers and sisters are sitting as hostages in tunnels, in Gaza. And maybe by doing what Netanyahu and Trump did, because Trump's part of this, is saying to Iran, you know what? You want to negotiate now? Fine, we'll stop bombing the heck out of you. Let's return those hostages, and then we'll sit down at the table. Because Iran can make one phone call and all the hostages come home, all of them.
No, Iran's evil. Iran's evil. They're in so many ways, they're a bigger enemy to the United States than China, right? China needs us to buy all their crap, so there's some mutual coexistence there. Iran is evil. It is Satan on earth. I mean, there's no getting around it. I'm no defender of that. I'm a strong supporter of Israel, but I've just seen us slide into so many wars: Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. These governments and intelligence agencies lie us into wars. It's got to be done. It's got to be now. We'll be able to overwhelm them. And the next thing you know, you got a multi-year, multi-decade war going on.
Yeah, but Israel is not gun happy. They're not running to do war. It collapses their economy. In fact, they put up with all the terrorism for all these years prior to October 7th. They just put up with it. A mother's killed, a baby's killed, a family's killed because they don't want to they should have over one dead Jewish baby. They should have had a war. But Israel doesn't want to collapse the economy, doesn't want to shut down the country, doesn't want to shut down the tourism. So they put up with it. But they comes to a point, they say no longer. We're not putting up with it, but we have to do something. They have to make a bold move. And all their country. I was with somebody yesterday, sitting with him last night, 9 o'clock, and he looks at his phone and says, I have to get on a plane. I'm a reservist in Israel. I'm leaving. Hops on a plane and leaves the meeting.
Yeah.
This is the mobilization of a country that
I get it.
Even a 20-year-old boy.
Listen, Rabbi, I'm 5 minutes late. I'm 5 minutes late for the break, so I'm going to break. But we agree more than you think. I really do. I mean, I'm not walking anything back. I mean, Iran is evil, and I would never travel to a Muslim country, not just Iran, but any Muslim country. I mean,
I think Trump is totally involved in this. Netanyahu loves him and wouldn't make a move without him.
Okay, all right. Take care, Rabbi. All right, Rabbi David. We'll be right back. very late on that break. So this next segment will be short, but I will go to the phones. We're back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Call us on hold, stand by. I went long on that segment because Rabbi David called in. And, I got a lot of respect for Rabbi David. I want to share with you all what the president said about an hour ago. I'm going to repost it to Truth Social. Okay, and this is about Iran. And this is the president. This was right before 6 a.m. on Truth Social. I gave Iran a chance. He says, I gave Iran chance after chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words to just do it. But no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipated, or were told. That the United States makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world by far, and that Israel has a lot of it, with much more to come. And they know how to use it. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen. They are all dead now. Oh boy. And it will only get worse. There has already been great death and destruction, but there still is time to make this slaughter with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. No more death, no more destruction. Just do it before it is too late. God bless you all. That's the president. So I will take that. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'll get to the phones in a moment. I will take that post to Truth Social as President Trump supporting the attack and the next attack. Okay? And, I am always, no matter what, going to side with Trump. Now, when Trump says the hardliners, they are all dead now, that's a good thing. Because whoever's left in charge over there, they don't want to be dead. And that's what President Trump is telling. Make a deal. And what President Trump just said, make a deal, and I can stop the next attack from coming that's going to get you. So I think at this point, we can say that President Trump is on board moving forward. That's it. And so far as MAGA, my opinion always has been, especially in this second term, you're either with Trump or you're not. This second term is so important. It's a very unique presidency. This is a presidential term like we will never experience again, and history may never experience it again. So if President Trump is in favor of the next wave of the attack, I'm in favor of it. I'm always going to side with Trump. And, he has made them an offer that they can refuse, but they would be foolish to do it. And the way he's talking, there's nowhere for them to run or hide. All right, let's go to the phones. This will be a short segment. My apologies because I went long with Rabbi David. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, that's it. Now, we don't have time to take any more calls until after the break because I did go late and this is a short segment. But I tell you, unlike Russia with Ukraine, he has a way to finally get this done. And, the thing about Iran, the U.S. Embassy in Iran was taken in 1979, and I was in the third grade, and I remember it like it was yesterday, and the American hostages and all of that. I remember all of that like it was yesterday. They are, without question, our number one enemy in the world. And, with Iran, it's not just what they do militarily over there in the region. 99.9% of the Islamic terrorism nationwide is funded, supported, and organized by Iran. Okay? And for President Trump to take a risk like he's taken, because this message you just sent to Iran, this is a major message to them. And this is an ultimatum. I'll tell you, this post by President Trump is like the message that Truman gave the Japanese. And if you remember, we didn't drop one bomb, we dropped two on Japan, right? One didn't do it. We had to drop the second one to get them to surrender. Remember that. People forget that. And Truman warned them before. They ignored the warning. The bomb came. They still didn't surrender. So we had to drop another one. And then they finally did. So President Trump, whether or not he approved of the first attack or not, I would say by his tweet, he did. But whether or not he approved of the first attack or not, he's saying that the follow-up attack by Israel will not be the fault or responsibility of Israel. It'll be the fault and responsibility of Iran. Basically, the next bombing attack will be Iran bombing itself because Trump is giving them an opportunity to stop all of this and make a deal. All right. If you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. I want to tell you guys about Jupiter, Joe Thomas, and annuities. With everything that's going on in the world, it's just instability. It's terrible. Wars, economic issues, inflation. You see everything that's going on. I don't like disorder, all right? I don't like stress. I don't like anxiety, and I don't like gambling. And I'm of the opinion, now I'm not a financial advisor. I don't give financial advice. Joe Thomas, he's been in the retirement planning industry for over 30 years. You go to him for financial advice, not me. But to me, the stock market's gambling. Simple. I don't like it. Up, down, sideways. I don't like that. Annuities, your nest egg is safe. No matter what happens in the market, you don't lose a dime. Plus, you're guaranteed an income stream for the rest of your life. No risk and a revenue stream. That's pretty awesome. It really is. He's offering no-charge consultations, which you can take advantage of no matter where you are located in the United States. Give Joe Thomas a call. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. If you missed the number, just go to his website. It's easy to remember, jupiterjoe.com. We'll be right back. Stand by, guys. We'll be back in 2 minutes. If you're on hold, hang in there. I will take some calls. It is open phones. We'll be back in about a minute. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Randy from Louisiana.
Hey, Randy.
I wanted to comment about the invasion. Well, not the invasion, but the bombing and everything. I think you're a big faggot.
Okay, I don't know what the relevancy of that. You know, it seemed, I don't know if you've noticed today, I'm getting a lot of older gay men calling. I don't know. I don't know why I'm getting all these older gay men that are calling and trying to make a move on me this morning, but it's one of those days. That's about the third one, actually, maybe the fourth. I've lost track. Before I go back to the phones, that's amazing to me. Guy held on for quite a while for that, too. Our number, 888-465-2631. And I know some of you are saying, oh, you're walking back your position. No, my position on the attack on Iran has been consistent. I have said, since this has been discussed the last few weeks, and I even said this in the first segment of the program today, that I will follow Trump's lead on this. And if it turns out that Trump approved of this, I approve of it. And I know a lot of people say, I get this grief a lot from, oh, you know, you'll never disagree with Trump. You got to disagree with him sometimes. No, I don't. I've said through this entire fiasco of what's going on here with the Iranians, Trump knows more than we do. And what we're finding out now, that Rabbi David was spot on, right on the money, correct. By the president's post on Truth Social, President Trump is doing a good cop, bad cop routine with Iran. That's what's going on here. You can tell if you go through his post on Truth Social that he put up this morning. And he's telling Iran, the hardliners are dead. If you make a deal, I can stop the next attack. And if you don't make a deal, the next attack, I can't stop it. It's very obvious. So it would appear that through this entire few weeks that this has been going on, that President Trump was going along with Netanyahu, and that this was not done only with Trump's knowledge, but his approval of the first attack. And if he approves it, he knows more than you do. He knows more than I do. I'm behind it. All right. Our number, 888-465-2631. You're on the air.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, good morning. I wanted to know your take on these L.A. riots because, I think between Gavin Newsom and whoever's funding these, Christy Walton.
Yeah. I'm listening.
I think that these people need to be prosecuted. And if they're not willing to prosecute them locally, then federally.
Well, it depends on it depends on what they're doing. It depends on what they're doing, okay? Listen, the LA, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the other side of the country, thank God.
Oh, okay, good. You're on the East Coast. California is occupied by a foreign invading force of Mexicans, it looks like, right? And we have two forces. We have
and the pinko commies.
Yeah. Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, is a lifetime communist. She gave the eulogy at the funeral of the leader of Communist Party USA, and she's been praising Fidel Castro her whole life. So she's a hardcore communist, and communists like revolutions. But and what's going on in Southern California is a couple of things. One, it's an insurgency of foreigners that are attacking the federal government. We also have U.S. citizens who are part of an insurgency against the U.S. government. And we have some politicians like Gavin Newsom who are collaborators with these evildoers, which does make them criminals. But
Yes, but I think you're missing there's a paid part behind this. Like these protests aren't just popping up organically.
No, it's very well organized and very well funded by people in this country and outside of the country. Yeah, just like this No Kings thing that's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, the globalist push that all of these quasi-communists want.
And so far as the Walmart lady, like a lot of wealthy people, they're the communists
completely out of touch.
Well, no, they're not out of touch. There's a lot of millionaire and billionaire communists. Look at AOC and Bernie Sanders. They're millionaires and they're communist. Even if you went to Cuba during Fidel Castro's heyday, Castro and his leadership had beach houses in Cuba and lived like millionaires. So in these communist societies, the leaders always live like kings and queens, right? I mean, so there's a lot of hypocrisy there. But yeah, no, everything you said is right. But the idea of arresting these officials, this senator yesterday that tried to attack Kristi Noem should have been arrested.
I'm not saying I'm any mass arrest, but I'm saying that if the California government, right, if they're going to simply, when people are arrested, the very next day, everybody that's arrested is turned around and released.
That's not necessarily true. In fact, the feds have arrested hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of illegals in those protests. They've arrested a lot of people, the feds, and have not released them. In fact, some people have been arrested by the LAPD, and LAPD let them go, and the feds picked them up right outside the jail and arrested them again on federal charges.
That's good. As long as there's something to catch that, because that's been the biggest problem with these woke.
Well, listen, as conservatives, we're always big into backing the blue. But when you go, most cops are liberals, especially in these big urban cities. So, you go to a place like the LAPD, most of those cops are liberals. They're born and raised in Southern California. And so they're going to agree with a lot of woke things. That's why you got to call in the National Guard and the Marines.
Yeah.
You can't trust the LAPD.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Appreciate the call. And, I'm sure many of you saw it's been overturned by another judge, but this Clinton federal judge ordered President Trump to turn over control of the National Guard to Newsom. And Newsom went out and gave a press conference that he was going to be back in charge of the National Guard by noon. Another judge overruled that judge. See, here we have the first instance of one of these federal judges thinking they're a little president, telling President Trump what he can do with the United States military, of which the National Guard is a part of it. We're in some very dangerous times in this country, no doubt about it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Ben. I'm calling from Seattle. Can you hear me okay, Brian?
I can.
How you doing, man?
All right. What's on your mind?
I'm just curious. Where did you get the-
No, I'm not going to answer. This is one of those days. Have you noticed how unglued the liberals are on this program today? I don't know. Let's see here. We are almost an hour and 45 minutes into the program. We are more than halfway through the show. We have heard from liberal after liberal today. Each one of them has been completely out of control, completely unglued, and sound like a complete lunatic. Now, today indeed is Friday. That means tomorrow's Saturday. That means the weekend is here. If you are suffering in pain, go see Dr. Appleton today. If you can't do it today because you're working, go see him tomorrow morning on Saturday. You know, with Dr. Appleton, walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. His laser wave pain treatment works on every type of pain I have ever heard of. Acute pain, chronic pain, herniated disc, rotary tears, plantar fasciitis, fibromyalgia, spinal stenosis, sciatica, tinnitus, knee conditions, neck pain, back injuries, post-surgical swelling, repetitive motion injuries, strains and sprains, work and sports injuries, bursitis, arthritis, and many, many more. With the laser treatment, which all are performed by Dr. Appleton himself, not an assistant, he does all the treatments himself. There's no drugs, no surgery, no downtime, no shots or injections. It is 100% painless. You don't even feel it when it's happening. And the best part of all is it works. That's why he's rid me of pain 7 times. Sometimes pains from growing old in the knee, the arthritis in my hand, but sometimes for injuries falling off my skateboard. You know, I haven't seen Dr. Appleton in a while because after my last skateboard injury, I retired the skateboard. It's leaning up against the wall in the garage, never to be ridden again. I should throw it out. But those longboards ain't cheap, and I can't get myself to throw it out. I got 2 of them, and they're not cheap. And I like looking at them. Reminds me of the good old days when I could fall and not get... You know, when you're young and you take a fall, you heal right away. When you get over 40, it's a whole nother ball game. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain like I've done 7 times. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710 and online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back. Hey, Barry, stand by. Okay, hold on. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm all right. What do you have for us today?
Well, of course, what we do, our law firm does estate planning, elder law, and probate. And the estate planning helps people protect their legacies, protect themselves from probate and guardianship, and protect the inheritance for their loved ones. And the elder law is really long-term care for people in their senior years, protecting them from the cost of long-term care, a problem that a lot of people end up having, especially if they don't have long-term care insurance and don't have enough. That's really going to be the theme this coming week as we approach our Saturday morning, June 21st, 10 a.m. seminar at our office on this exact subject. It's going to be about protecting your assets from the cost of long-term care and about how Medicaid could help. And it's going to also dispel the myths about Medicaid. A lot of people jump to the conclusion that, hey, that's not for me. I have assets. I can't qualify. You're probably wrong if you're thinking that. I can tell you that most people could qualify. They just have to plan to be able to qualify. And so the best way to get to the point where you can do the proper planning is to get the education to understand it, and that's what we're offering, and it's absolutely free next Saturday, June 21st.
Yeah, now again, that's a week from tomorrow, and these Saturday seminars and workshops with the Siegel Law Group do not come around very often. So if you're telling yourself, I'll just wait for the next one, no, you want to go to this one. It'll be all right. And of course, it is at the main office location in Boca. Give the Siegel Law Group a call, and they'll give you all the information. It is completely free. 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782. And online, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, have a great weekend, and we'll talk next week. All right, take care.
Brian.
Thank you. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. I want to go through President Trump posted on Truth Social, about 90 minutes ago, a little longer than that. And this is about the attack on Iran. I gave Iran a chance. Let me start over. I gave Iran chance after chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words to just do it. But no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipated, or were told, that the United States makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world by far, and that Israel has a lot of it, with much more to come, and they know how to use it. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen. They are all dead now, and it will only get worse. There has already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make this slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. No more death, no more destruction. Just do it before it is too late. God bless you all. So whatever military action is taking place in Iran has the blessing of Donald Trump. So that means we've got to support it. And not only that, he is giving them an opportunity to stop this. Now, this is an interesting... Now, this is what I'd like to hear from you guys. And when he said that the certain hardliners were being very vocal and taking a hard stand, they are all dead now. So I guess they killed the guys that were stopping the deal. And he's telling the rest of you that are still alive, if you don't make a deal, you're going to be dead too. Now, this is what I'd like to hear. Now, I know it is open phones on Friday, okay? It is open MAGA Mike Friday, but I would like to hear your thoughts on this. What will Iran do here? Will Iran now make the deal with President Trump? They're not making a deal with Israel. They're making a deal with President Trump. Will they make the deal with President Trump, or will they allow the attacks to continue? You know, for them to... The first attack from every report was pretty brutal, including the president's post on Truth Social this morning. But the big attacks will be with those bunker busters and other bombs that are ours that we've given Israel, or we'll give them more of. Or maybe we've been giving them for weeks in the last couple of months in preparation for this. Who knows? But what would be your guess as to what Iran does now? Will they make a deal? Obviously, none of us know. It is 50-50. My guess would be no. No. The Iranian leadership, they live on another plane of existence than the rest of us. They are more out of touch than the Democrats are in their country. And these guys, their entire life, are just a hate organization. They hate Jews like nothing else, okay? And I don't think they'll make a deal after this first attack. I really don't. It might take a few attacks. By the time a deal is made, if one's ever made, it may be made by the third, fourth, fifth stringers in their government that are a lot of promotions will be coming around soon if these attacks continue. But when President Trump in that post on True Social is talking about the best weapons in the world, and they have a lot of them, the Iranians know what kind of weapons we have. And he's letting them know that the next wave of attack is going to be with some maybe perhaps more serious weaponry than we'd used the first time. So at this point, we've got this good cop, bad cop routine going on with the president and Netanyahu. What do you think Iran will do? Will they not believe? These people are very brainwashed. Will they believe Trump or not? Or are they afraid of losing face with their people? All right, our number 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Sandra from Boca. How are you?
All right, Sandra.
So you just posed the question of what you think Iran is going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think President Trump is going to be able to make a deal. But I think in the long run, they're going to be deceitful. That's just my opinion.
Well, I give you an example. With the Taliban, after 9/11, Bush told the Taliban, we won't invade if you turn over bin Laden. And they thought he was bluffing, right? So, these radical leaders in these countries, they don't see the world like you and I do. And now again, anything is possible, and we're all making predictions here. My guess is they'll take the next hit. That they won't believe, because what message have they gotten? America's weak. We've sent them cargo planes filled with money.
Exactly.
They may not believe Trump.
Right. That's only funded them even more. I do think, though, that they see Trump as a different player in the situation because he is a leader. So I think they're going to adhere to some terms.
You can never trust. You can never trust the Iranians. So then the next question is, what does Trump want? Does Trump want them not to make a deal and get hit again? What does Trump want at this point? Does he want a deal with Iran, or does he want the Israeli attacks to continue and take out more of their leaders? What do you think Trump wants?
Look, I really don't know. It's just going to be a matter of what Trump decides, but I think he would want a ceasefire and not have it escalate. That's what
I don't think he wants it to escalate, but escalation doesn't mean, another major Israeli attack does not mean an escalation outside of Iran. Now, I think he would like to, at this point, based on what he put on True Social, okay, I think he would like the next level of, because he said there were some hardliners opposed to the deal. They're all dead now. I think he'd like the next level of hardliners dead too. I think he'd like the next attack to go through and deal with their third or fourth string of leaders. That's what I would think.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't see anything that we can trust long term.
You can never trust the Iranians, not as long as it's the Islamic Republic. They can never be. They're always going to be a problem. There's never going to be a point that they're an Islamic Republic that they're not a problem.
Exactly.
Ever.
They're never going to stop.
Mm-mm.
They will never stop. As a matter of fact, I think they're trying to gain alliances as we speak.
Well, listen. Look at what happened in, and perhaps this is why President Trump was being so friendly to Qatar and the Syrian leader, because he knew this was coming and he was preparing them for his moves. But if you guys remember, it's been a long time, but Iraq was always a problem in the Persian Gulf. They were always moving a carrier group to protect tankers in the Persian Gulf. And then even though we had a multi-year insurgency, when the Baathists were finally gone, all that stopped when Saddam Hussein and his regime were finally defeated. We don't hear about Iraq anymore. Okay?
Right. Right. So
all right.
It's just a matter of time, but this is kind of my feeling.
All right, appreciate the call. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Dave, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Morning. Good, good. Hey, listen, you just took my thunder because I agree with you 100%. What President Trump was doing in the Middle East the last month was definitely softening the ground vis-a-vis diplomacy and getting them on the train that way.
That's
There's no
right.
question about that. And now we're looking at something that has been long overdue in that area. You're 100% right. We can't trust them. We'll never be able to deal with them. But to use some wording from The Sopranos, the great Phil Leotardo, when he wanted to take out the Soprano crew, had words of wisdom. In addition to eating grilled cheese off the radiator, he said you decapitate and you deal with what's left over when it's done. Keep pounding, find out what's left over, see if there's any bit of rational.
Well, the
thought or
problem,
behavior.
we only have a few seconds to the top, but the biggest worry that we have with Iran is they have these Islamic terror cells throughout the entire world, including in the United States. So if they and those people are brainwashed lunatics that aren't into deals. So
I agree, but whether this happened or not, they're still here and they're still brainwashed and they're still going to do whatever they do. So I think it's a no-win situation. They're going to hit us regardless. So we might as well get rid of their money and their funding.
Right. Well, listen, I gotta run. We're up on the top of the hour, but good points. You make sense. All right, we're gonna thank you. Happy Father's Day to you. We'll be right back for the third hour. Hey, what's up? All right. Hold on. I'm going to put you on hold for a moment. Hold on. All right. You there, Steve?
Yes.
All right. Hold on. We got 3 minutes. We'll be back. 3 minutes. Oh, man.
This is the most bizarre news day I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. I got to do a spot coming out. I missed a spot.
Let's get back to him pretty quick.
I am. Did you hear me reading through Trump's statement?
I heard some of it.
I'll go through that. Okay, after I do the spot, I'll read the statement to you that he made about the attack. All right, 2 minutes. Hold on, put you on hold for a sec. Okay, we've got 2 minutes. All right, 30 seconds. The third hour has begun. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. I'm going to share, Steve, with you. The president made a statement while I was on the air this morning about the Israeli attacks on Iran, and I want to share that with you. And it's a very important statement. I've gone through it twice already, but I want everyone to hear it. I want you to hear it. But, you know, we have... very, very unusual listeners. You know, listeners to this program, do all kind of things you don't hear on any other radio station anywhere. Sometimes they do commercials for us, right? Do spots. Sometimes they remind me when it's time to take a break. You get that? You know, sometimes they even remind me to do spots. And during the break, one of our listeners in the live chat on YouTube said, "Hey, don't forget to tell people about your weight loss journey." And I'm glad that they reminded me to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. You know, this is amazing. You know, this is the first diet or weight loss program I've ever been on. I lost not only all the weight I planned on, but much more than I planned on losing. I lost about 1 pound a day, and I did all of that eating foods I would normally eat, not doing any exercise, and without taking any prescription medications by Ozempic, like Ozempic, which I would never do. I mean, I just hear nothing but bad things about those medications, Steve. Ozempic tongue, Ozempic face, Ozempic breath, Ozempic gums. That's all I hear about all the time. I don't know that. I did this in a very natural way, and you want to give them a call at Coastal Weight Loss Secret. It works. Oh, and I forgot, I'm not hungry all the time. You know, before Coastal Weight Loss Secret, especially in the last hour of the show, I would say, "Oh, I'm starving. I can't wait to get off the air to eat." You don't hear that anymore. Sometimes you might hear me say, "Did my stomach growl get picked up on the mic?" I don't know. It was pretty. That doesn't happen anymore, does it? Give them a call. Do what I did. Lose all that weight. If you want to lose 20 pounds or 220 pounds or even more, they can help you. Here's the number. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. All right, Steve. So we got this attack on Iran, and President Trump sent out a very important message about this to Iran. Can I read it to you so we can...
Yes, you can. Just have a question, because I'm totally lost this morning.
Okay.
The attack on Iran, was that a nuclear attack?
No, it was not a nuclear attack. No one's used a nuclear attack.
They got their nukes, though, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't a nuclear attack. The last nuclear attack was in 1945. We did it. But no nuclear attack. They attacked the nuclear... their nuclear sites and more, okay? So President Trump posted this to Truth Social. "I gave Iran chance after chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words, just do it," meaning the deal. "But no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipated, or were told. That the United States makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world by far, and that Israel has a lot of it, with much more to come. And they know how to use it. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen. They are all dead now, and it will only get worse. There's already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make this slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. No more death, no more... Let me finish. I'm at the last sentence.
I have to straighten something in my mind.
Yep.
When he says they're all dead now, does he include Khomeini? Because last I heard, Khomeini was still
No, the
alive.
Ayatollah, no. He said there were certain Iranian hardliners who were against this. They're all dead now. and you that are left, if you don't make a deal, you're going to be dead. That's what he's saying. So,
yeah, but when he said they're all dead now,
well, we don't know.
Including Khomeini.
I don't know who he was including, but he didn't give us any names. That's what he gave us.
Because Khomeini was killed. I heard Khomeini was killed.
I don't know who was. I don't know who was killed and who survived. But what he's basically saying is, if you are alive, you will be dead unless you make the deal. So that's that, and it's a pretty strong line. So, and this dropped while we were on the air this morning, and I have been very much opposed to military action against Iran with the one little note that if President Trump comes out in favor, I'll be in favor of it because he sees the bigger picture. So, you may call this walking back. I call it consistency. Trump is doing a good cop, bad cop thing with Netanyahu. And this is a game-changing moment. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Well, it makes sense to one of us.
Well, it does. It does. All right, well, let's take some of these calls. Maybe they know. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Lenny in Coconut Creek.
Hey, Lenny.
How you doing?
Hey, Lenny, what's up?
Hey, good morning, Steve. And again, it's just my opinion. The attack was an extremely well-coordinated attack. As far as whether Trump approved it or not, that's something.
No, I would say at this point, I think it's safe to say he did. Now, so far as who they killed, let's see, the head of the Revolutionary Guard, the head of the Iranian military, and the head of Iranian's emergency command, as well as 6 nuclear scientists were killed. The supreme leader, Iran quickly called the barrage of strikes a declaration of war, and the Ayatollah, he's still alive, Steve.
Well, but
for now,
Trump is still looking, to negotiate. They were looking up till Sunday as I guess the last opportunity to see if they could negotiate peacefully, but. I think Israel used that to try to do what they did was catching them, literally with their pants down, so that because they would not have been able to make.
Listen, the Iranian leadership, much of which is dead now. Okay, they live in this bubble. Right. It's and they called the bluff. They thought there was a bluff, so they were going to call this bluff, and it wasn't a bluff, and they got annihilated. Now, the question is, will they make a deal now? Will they believe President Trump? Will they take the hit? What are they going to do now?
Well, they actually, I listen, I don't want to mention from where, but they did use bunker busters. But this is going to go on for at least another week. They started, Israel time like 4:00 in the morning, and they had, the jets that left Israel was nonstop.
Well, no, that's not what President Trump. President Trump is saying. You got hit hard. You've got a window to stop this, make a deal, or the next one's coming, and it's going to be bigger than the first one. So they got a window of opportunity here.
Yeah, but Iran said, a dog that barks doesn't bite. So, no matter what I think Trump would have tried to do.
Oh, my God.
All right, I appreciate the call. Okay, wake up and call us back another day. All right? All right, you're on the calls today, Steve, have been, on open phones on Friday, the show preps up to the callers, but today, oh boy, it's not been. The calls have been. You're on the Rabbi David called in. That was a great call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I like to give Steve credit. I mean, it takes a lot.
I know it sure does. I know. Yes. Oh boy. See what I'm talking about, Steve? But I don't think the Iranians will listen to Trump's message. I think they'll take the next hit, Steve. I really do. Listen, when Trump took out the general in his first term, the Iranians have been after Trump. So there's no one who wants the Iranian regime to collapse more than President Trump, in my opinion, because they're going to be after him personally for the rest of his life, right? Personally. And he wants them gone. I don't think they're going to, I don't think they are sane. I mean, they're just not sane. They're, the Iranians, it's like trying to deal with people on another planet. They don't see the world like we see it at all. And I don't mean we as MAGA people, they don't see the world the way that anyone outside of the Muslim world sees it. And this message from President Trump, I don't think they're gonna take the deal. I think they're gonna take the next hit. And another thing too, and this, I mention this, Steve, sometimes with our callers. I don't think there's ever been a time that you and I, even against some of the biggest jerks that we've had call us over the years, have gone 100% at one of our callers with our abilities. I would say with most callers, we go to 10 to 20% at the most, right? I mean, we can do a lot more damage to people than... There was one caller when my nose started bleeding. That was pretty intense years ago. But that was true. I got a nosebleed yelling at a caller. But we never use our full strength. Same goes for the...
We pull our punches.
We pull our punches, that's right. And in the past, military actions or any type of actions against Iran have been with punches being pulled. And what Trump is saying is there's no more punches being pulled. They're going to come in, it's going to be hard, and it's going to be hopeless for you. And I don't think they believe it. I think Iran will take this as this is going to be like all the other attacks. It's going to be bad, so people are going to die, but we'll get through it. And there's also a thought, you're talking about the Ayatollah. There's also this rule of thumb that they'll never take out the leader of a country. Right? And it's against the law for the United States to take out another head of state. That's why Bill Clinton said he didn't take out bin Laden before 9/11. Why? Not that bin Laden was a head of a state, but he wouldn't do it. Janet Reno gave him that advice. Israel's not the United States. And I think the top leadership, Khomeini, those people, they think that they are above being bombed. And they think that they don't care about their people. They care about themselves. And they are telling themselves they'll never get us. They would never do that, right? You never take out the leader. Who would they make a deal with if we were gone? And they're going to wake up tomorrow and maybe not be awake, right? They're going to be underground. I mean, they're going to be done. So I just don't think that I don't think that the senior leadership in Iran believes that they would ever be taken out. I don't think they're going to believe Trump. I don't think they will. So and you know what? So be it. What would the world be like, Steve, if we didn't have the Ayatollahs running Iran? If it was no longer the Islamic Republic of Iran, I think it'd probably be a better place, wouldn't it?
Oh, no question of that.
Mm-hmm. Not that there would be
an easy one,
but not that there would be peace over there. But I don't think they're not going to say, "Oh, Trump said they're telling themselves they would never take us out." They would never take us out. And the advisors they have are telling them the same thing. All right, listen, I'm gonna put you and everybody else on hold, Steve. We're going to take our break and be right back. All right, Steve, you there?
Yes.
Okay, you want to take some calls when we get back?
Sure.
Okay. Grinder checked. It seems like it. It seems like we're getting some of these Grinder people calling today. Yeah. Senator Padilla picked a bad day to pull a publicity stunt. No news today on that. World War III breaks out, you know.
Hello?
Yep. You there, Steve?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. We have... $90 seconds. One minute.
Okay.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. It's the Steve Kane Show. I did some checking yesterday, Steve. This month, the month of June that we're in right now, it has been 3 years. Right. It's been 3 years this month since Lighthouse Medical rid you of your neuropathy. 3 years.
I remember it well.
You know, and you know that's a. You know, it's a. This is the thing about Lighthouse Medical and the neuropathy treatment. Your symptoms for the neuropathy were so bad. I mean, you were not a functioning person, right? The dizziness, the pain, the pins and needles, the numbness. You had all the symptoms, and what was interesting is you said you would have multiple symptoms at the same time. It wasn't like you got one and then you get another one. You got multiple things going on together, and when you're and it's painful too, right? You know?
No question.
You know, so what happens when you're suffering from neuropathy? You're in so much pain. You're in so much discomfort. Life is so unbearable. You just want it to stop. And we found Lighthouse Medical. They have a treatment for neuropathy that works. And we weren't thinking, okay, what's next month going to be like? You just want, you want the relief. You want it now. And it just so happens that we found out this. That Lighthouse Medical has a treatment for neuropathy and all your neuropathy symptoms that works, rids you of those symptoms, but it also lasts. And this month has been 3 years since Lighthouse Medical rid you, Steve Kane, of your neuropathy symptoms. That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Your life.
Well, we weren't thinking about 3 years down the road. You were thinking about 3 minutes down the road. I can't take it anymore. You know, it's that bad. But 3 years and your symptoms have not returned. Give Lighthouse Medical a call. They can help you no matter where you're located in the United States. Make sure you mention the Steve Kane Show because then you get to take advantage of their no-charge consultation. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. All right. Let's go back to the phone, Steve. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, hello. This is Joe. I'm calling from Thailand.
Hey, go ahead. Go ahead, Thailand.
Cheers. So I hear you guys are talking a lot about the whole Iran-Israel thing, and I just can't shake the feeling that, so obviously, our experience of the world is accelerating. I guess at least certainly when we're getting older, right? But still, there's this huge succession of things that keep distracting us from what used to be the most important thing, right? So we had this whole Epstein Files thing. We had the big ugly bill, which has a lot of stuff in there about AI legislation. And now no one is talking about that anymore. right? And that seems really weird and kind of scary, right? Because whatever differences of opinion are, if you don't have the time to talk them through and get to a resolution, then, it's a succession of things that divide us. And there's no real way for us to talk together about the things.
So what are you trying to say? So what's your point?
Do I need to have a point? I thought we were just talking.
Yes, you have to have a point.
I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Something inspired you to call. So, it's the show's not random thoughts. What do you what's your main idea of the point you're trying to make?
Okay, so the main idea is basically, I think it's worthwhile going deeper into some of these things, right? Why is no one talking about the Epstein files anymore, right? So Trump was asked, hey, are you going to release the Epstein files? He said, yes. Well, he didn't say it yesterday, right? They're like, yeah, probably, maybe. But they seem to commit to it, right? They released some files that they said were new files, and they were all the same redacted files.
Well,
right?
My guess is, listen, today is not a day to be concerned about the Epstein files because there's a major a major thing going on. But however, when people are doing,
is that going on in America?
Hold on a second. When people are doing crime, typically they don't keep records and file them away. And the idea that there's some Epstein files that are going to show all this criminal activity, I never expected that. And I've always said, don't get your hopes up too much. Who does crime and makes a record of it, puts it in files and filing cabinets?
So people who run drugs and run whorehouses, they tend to do exactly that.
Well, I guess if you're in Thailand, you're in the right place for that line of work, I guess. Well, my guess is with the Epstein files, and Megyn Kelly was talking about this with somebody a week or two ago, and they made a very good point that he was working for an intelligence agency, probably one of ours, and that's what Bongino and Kash Patel found out, and that's why we haven't heard too much more about it for that reason. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. Nesty Palm City. How we doing today?
Oh, never Trump or Steve. Yes.
Good, Steve. What do you got for us?
Yes.
How you doing?
We're doing better than your phone connection. You got a bad cell connection. You have to call back, and maybe we'll get a better line.
Exactly.
Remember
you're lucky and get a better caller.
I've been telling you, the calls today have been, You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian from Deerfield.
Hey, Brian.
Hi, Brian. Hi, Steve. I tell you what, you talk about hitting an inflection point. Hi, Steve. How are you today? This is a major, major inflection point here, this strike. I'm thinking Trump maybe gave him 48 hours to come to a rational decision on what they should be doing. Maybe 48 hours, and maybe not even that much. This is so big and such a major a major incident. Even the flight time on these rays going from I had no idea. The flight time I think from Israel to hit Iran is significant too. And I don't think they had. From what I heard, they didn't lose any planes or anything. But this, I think biblically, this is Jeremiah 49, which is a major event too. That reactor down in near the Persian Gulf, the Bushehr nuclear reactor, I think is highly vulnerable to an attack too, which could cause major problems. But the way they go about taking out the heads of the states, all the major thinkers on the Iranian side, it just kneecaps them right off the bat, and it's really something to watch.
Well, listen. Right now, we got a big thing happening. President Trump said the next one's going to be worse. What do you think Iran's next move is? I don't think they're going to believe that they're in. I don't think they're going to believe Trump. I think when I talk about I'm talking about the top, the Ayatollah, the top guys. They will. Right. I believe they're telling themselves they would never take us out. Who would they negotiate with?
Well, I wonder if they're taking another look at that, because they called this bluff this time. It didn't work out too good. I think he did give Netanyahu the green light, and I think they're ready to go. I think the next one will be very, very significant. this may be the last chance for Iran, the Iranian hierarchy, to remain anywhere in power, because you don't fool around with this guy.
Well, we know.
You don't fool around with either one of
Listen,
them.
President Trump's post on Truth Social this morning tells us that we have given them some major weapons that have. When I was talking about pulling the punches earlier, he's saying that the next wave is going to be bigger than anything they've ever experienced before, and it's only going to get more severe as they drag it out.
Wow. I mean, the statements that are going back and forth are very significant here too. They've got like they said, we got a lot of our main weapons. They got the huge bunker busters. They can get all these ones that are buried deep in the ground. In that, if they think they're going to hide from a combined Israeli-American attack, they can forget it. They can forget it. This is just a warm-up,
Yeah.
So hopefully cool minds will prevail, but you don't really see that so much in the Mideast, at least on the Iranian side. I'm very curious what the second wave would look like.
Hold on one second. Are you saying they haven't used the bunker busters yet?
I'm unclear about that. I've heard conflicting reports as if they've used the bunker busters. But I've heard both, that yes, and I've heard no.
But are they using the big bunker busters?
Whatever they're using, they've not used the biggest stuff yet. That's what Trump is telling them.
You wonder, if they don't come to their start thinking clearly on the Iranian side, you wonder, this next wave, is this designed to just totally annihilate them? I don't know. I don't, because we're not playing. They should know we're not playing games anymore. This is it. But they do have some facilities. I know in down near the Persian Gulf there that are highly vulnerable. Highly vulnerable. That reactor for sure.
Well, no, wait. You didn't hear me go through the Trump post on Truth Social. I don't think, did you?
I did. When you read.
Okay, so what President Trump
was something significant too.
President Trump's not talking about a facility here, a facility there. He's telling them that if you don't make a deal, you're dead. He's telling them they're going to be dead.
Yeah.
So that is a major escalation. I hope it doesn't get lost in translation. You know what? I bet the Iranians are trying to get a hold of John. I'm not kidding. I bet the Iranians are trying to get a hold of John Kerry and Obama.
John Kerry
and Obama. I'm serious.
Oh my God! Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah, they were a great dynamic duo.
They've got relationships with those people.
Well, I think the time is clicking. I don't think they got more than this weekend. I don't think he's going to wait that long.
They may not have this afternoon.
No, they might not. They might not. The problem is we're thinking that we're dealing with rational minds in Iran, and we're not.
No, and the thing with Trump, this is why, when I've told you guys, if Trump says go, I'm go. If he doesn't, I'm not on board. But he is, so I'm on board.
Right.
And this is the thing. The way President Trump is talking, he's, George W. Bush with Afghanistan and Iraq didn't want to stop things. He wanted to prolong fighting because, the military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
President Trump wants the fighting he wants it over yesterday. So he wants to do an overwhelming military strike, which we have remember he took out ISIS like in 5 minutes with Raising Cane.
Yeah.
Right? He wants this to end immediately. So if they don't do what he's telling them, they're going to get hit with weapons that's going to take them out. He's not going to he's not talking about some ground invasion and having a multi-year war.
No.
He's talking about taking them out.
And Raising Cane is head of his Joint Chiefs of Staff. Somebody he can rely on there,
That's right.
This is going to be some weekend to watch. I mean, you talk about must-see TV and of course, the radio show. Absolutely. This is major. This is major event.
Hold on one second. None of this is making sense to me, to be very honest with you. I mean, what was I watching last night on television? It looked like they'd launched a nuclear attack.
No,
for heaven's sakes.
It wasn't. No, it was not a nuclear attack. And I'm not saying a nuclear.
That they'd taken out the bunker. I mean, I had the impression last night they'd taken out the bunker.
They're not talking about taking out they took out the nuclear sites. They're talking about taking out the government of Iran.
Yeah.
The complete government.
The upper echelon.
They're not talking about striking a factory or a facility or the ability for them to make war.
So who is left running the
Ayatollah? The Ayatollah is still in charge with his top guys.
Yeah, it's a smaller little group than it was before yesterday. That's for damn sure.
And he's talking about taking them out. I don't think they're going to believe it. But listen, we got to run for our break. I'll give you the last word, caller.
If they took out the Ayatollah, who would be calling the shots on the other side? I don't know.
I don't think they care. I think
that would be something to see.
There's always a fourth.
It's going to be a great weekend to watch.
It's not entertainment. I'm going to put you on hold, Steve. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be right back. Steve, you there?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm going to put you on hold for a minute, and I'll be back with you. All right, you there, Steve?
Yes.
We got a little less than 2 minutes. I got to call you after the show, but it'll probably be like 15 minutes, 20 minutes after we get off the air. So just make sure you answer.
I got my phone with me.
All right. Oh, man. I am really tired today. That senator thought he was going to be the talk of America today. He's out of the news already.
Yeah, that's right.
What a dumbass.
Was there any action in the streets last time?
Nah. Who? I don't know. Who's watching that when you got World War III?
Well, I was going to say.
No. He picked a bad day to pull a fake publicity stunt. Should have done it a week ago.
Yeah, really.
What an idiot.
Christine, I'm sure is sweet.
She handled him. All right, we'll be back. 15 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve is here, and even though it's open phones on Friday, really, we're talking about what's going on in Iran. So you want to take some more calls, Steve? Or
Sure, let's do it.
All right. And we're so messed up on our break schedule. It is all my fault, I must say. But if you're on hold, we'll get your calls in a moment. It's 888-465-2631 is our number, 888-465-2631. And just to clarify what's going on here, it looks like this good cop, bad cop thing that Trump has been doing with Netanyahu, he has told the Iranians, all the hardliners that wouldn't sign the deal are dead. If you don't make a deal now, you're going to be dead, is what I'm taking this as. So you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
New Jersey. Yeah, I'm calling about this great big stupid parade that's going on this week. My problem is what the street's going to look like after you got tanks going down streets that can't handle the weight of tanks.
Washington, you're aware that Washington, D.C. is the nation's capital? You're aware of that, right? The streets of D.C., I'm going to answer your question. The streets of D.C. are built for military traffic because it could be called upon at any time, being our nation's capital. And the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has gone through the parade route and reinforced the manhole covers to make sure that they don't get broken by tanks. So those precautions have been taken care of since you asked. You feel better now?
I heard you say something about manhole covers the other day. But I also heard them say that the streets are not built for that many tanks to come down.
I don't. Maybe my street isn't. Maybe your street isn't. But the streets of the nation's capital are. It's a federal city run by the federal government, and they have special provisions because military equipment may be called upon to be used at any time to protect the capital.
To protect the capital. Now, that could be a possibility.
Ah, my goodness. Yeah, you think that, yeah.
Wow.
I can't believe it.
That smart.
We're only agreeing. Yeah, all right. On that way, we agreed. Yeah, they are. The liberals are promoting this idea that they're going to break all the concrete on all the roads. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Let's try it again. Never Trumper Steve in Palm City. How
Oh, good. You're not. You put down the Obama phone. You're calling on a real phone. We got a good connection.
Steve. No, apparently there's one room that doesn't get great cell phone reception. Actually, your whole show used to be not to get good reception.
Go ahead. Stop. Time is short. Go.
Got it. Okay. So for those listeners who remember the movie The Wizard of Oz, when the little dog at the end pulls back the curtain and you see who the wizard is, it can be a little bit of a disappointment. Now, Trump indicated the Ukraine war would have never started if he was in power. He was going to end that. That hasn't happened. He was promised he was going to end the Gaza war. That didn't happen. We don't know how this war is going to turn out. Hopefully, good for us. But he's now in power when war did start during his administration. But in any event, you have said this morning that the real
excuse me. This war did not start under the Trump administration. This conflict over the nuclear weapons has been going on for decades, and the war with Iran started in 1979. But anyway,
this is a new one. It's
not. No.
I won't even argue the point. I mean,
yes, because I'm right. Go ahead. Yeah.
But you said this one anyway. The real war here in the United States is the war on illegal immigration. Correct?
Well, no, not the war on it. A bigger threat to us today, before I saw this post by President Trump on True Social, was the illegals. But right now, Iran's a bigger threat than even the illegals in our country, because President Trump said that he's going to kill the leadership if they don't make a deal. So I
understand, but
whatever the worst DEFCON is, we're there.
Yes, but if you could wave your magic wand and if illegal immigrants could all be out of this country now, you'd be all for that, correct?
Yeah. Illegal immigrants.
Okay. So what do you do with the statement that Trump made yesterday, which you won't play because it'll give your MAGA audience heartburn, where he says, you know what, the farmers are telling me that they have workers that have worked for them for 20 and 25 years, but, and they're good people, and they'll be hard to be replaced if we remove them from the country. So I'm going to have to do something about this, and including the hospitality people, too, because after all, the ICE thugs have to sleep well at night.
So what's your complaint?
You approve of Trump there. You're praising Trump.
Trump just blew your argument about removing all immigrants that are undocumented.
Not at all.
Make exceptions.
Not at all.
For farm workers, for hospitality.
Steve, I'm confused. I'm a little tired today, guys. I must tell you. So
I think our phone guest is a little confused.
Hold on, Steve. Slow down there. So because I'm a little tired, my brain may not be working properly this morning. which means I'm about equal to most of our liberal callers. But I'm talking to Steve Kane, not Never Trumper Steve here. I got two Steves. Steve, it sounds like Never Trumper Steve is calling in to praise President Trump for a bold move that goes against much of the MAGA base. So
that's the impression I get.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So you're approving of President Trump.
He just flip-flopped. He's going to make all these exceptions now. What do you do with that, Steve? It's no longer a war on immigration. He's going to pick and choose which groups he wants out.
Listen. Because of the strikes on Iran, that interrupted all previous programming and show prep. And that clip you're talking about.
Today it's Friday.
No, we're talking about it.
Friday. I can talk about anything. Yeah,
and we're talking about it. The reason
you've got to
stop. You've got to stop talking so I can respond. One, I don't have the clip queued up because when Israel attacked Iran, all previous programming prep was scrubbed and we moved on to something else. So I don't have it queued up. However, there's a couple of reasons. He was very specific. Okay, one. We only have a limited number of resources with ICE and everything, so we can't go after everybody at once. Two, he talked about how a lot of that if we just all of a sudden, it's easy to get the farm workers. You just go to the farm and get them. He says if we went and grabbed all of them, the farms would be out of business. They don't have workers standing by. In fact, every liberal has told us about their concern about the illegal farm workers. Who's going to pick all the, how that goes. So he's agreeing with
exactly.
Well, that's good. So you should be happy.
Thanks for your
That was my prediction to you earlier.
Okay, well then you were right and Trump was right, and he's about to become MAGA, full MAGA. Let's take our last break of the day, Steve. I want to put you on hold. We'll come back with the gold report. Hey there, hold on. Steve, you there? Steve? Steve, can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
All right, hold on. All right, you there, Steve?
I'm here, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to conference in William. Okay, stand by. All right, William, stand by. We'll be back shortly.
Okay.
40 seconds.
Hello?
Yep, stay. All right, we are back. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here, and it's time, as we do every weekday morning at this time, to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how are the metals ending up the week?
Oh, very exciting. Metals up. Gold up $31 yesterday, trading in a range of $3,338 all the way up to $3,400, and closing out the day at $33.8460. Silver was up 10 cents at $36.27. Platinum closed up $40 yesterday at $1,297 the ounce, and palladium was down $7 at $1,063. Overnight, of course, the excitement with the preemptive strike in Israel and Iran, the gold running up $60 at one point last night, trading in a range of $3,378 on the low, all the way up to $3,445. and right now we're up $47 at $3,431. So right now we are basically about $70 from the all-time high of $3,500 gold. So
it's amazing.
Silver down 7 cents right now at $36.20 the ounce. Platinum down $49 at $12.46 after hundreds of dollars of gains over the last few months. And palladium down $9 at $1,054. So gold doing what it's supposed to do, protecting our dollars and protecting the currencies of the world by being the safe haven that it has been for 5,000 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, these are just amazing times. I remember when we were waiting to hit that $1,000 an ounce, and here we are, you know. William Youngman opens up at 10 a.m. He's located at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. And when you enter the Bank of America building, you see the bank lobby. William Youngman is directly across the lobby from the bank. You can call him toll-free as well after 10 a.m., 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. And online, WilliamYoungerman.com. William Youngman, we'll have a great weekend. We'll talk on Monday.
Okay, thank you. You too.
All right, take care. All right, now, Steve, I got to tell you, I'm not going to say who this is, but I was talking to a friend of yours and a friend of mine a couple days ago, and their wife has been taking advantage of the coastal weight loss secret. And their experience is like mine. Pretty flawless and seamless. And we may be hearing from them when they reach their goal, which they're getting close to. But I understand, people don't like to say I used to be heavy and now I'm not. Hey, I'm excited because I want people to know I don't look like I used to. When I look at the photographs, Steve, that we took with listeners on Inauguration Day at Wings Plus, I'm embarrassed. I didn't realize I needed to lose weight until I did. I really didn't. And I started Coastal Weight Loss Secret the Monday after Inauguration Day, and I lost about a pound a day. It's amazing. It works. I'm not starving myself. I'm not hungry. I'm eating foods I would normally eat. I'm not doing any exercise, and I'm not taking any prescription medication. Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. And by the way, we have listeners all over America who are taking advantage of this. The number is 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel, all right? And you can find them online at coastalweightlossecret.com. Well, really, something I never thought would happen has happened. Never Trumper Steve is now, I guess he's Trumper Steve now, because President Trump is giving all this help and relief to the farm workers and the hotel workers. So, wow. That's
amazing.
Great. Yeah, we're red-pilling people every day. All right, let's take another call or two. That was amazing. I don't think he realized that's what he was doing. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, IB.
Hey, IB.
Man, we are finally at the apex. You never know when you're living in history. Actual history is happening because, like a bad tumor, Trump is surgically removing Iran off the global map to create peace, starting with any country that buys oil from them will be penalized. Now, remember we said back in the 70s, Israel already infiltrated with old planes. They can hit them anytime they want surgically, but they needed the right person in the White House.
No, see,
right?
here's IB, you're right. See, what's happened here is at the bottom of the hour we had to cut it quick and with one of the callers. See, Iran has this nuclear thing's been going on for years, okay? And Israel has hit them in the past, but they didn't have an American president who was willing to allow Israel to do what they got to do to end it for good. And this message that President Trump sent to Iran on True Social is telling Iran, I'm in this until it's over, and it can be over really quick with our most advanced and powerful weapons. And Israel's never had that before. That's new.
So So what Trump's doing right now is, you see how he already hit all the Qatar, Syria, Saudi Arabia. He already hit those guys to say, hey, look, we'll take care of you because we're going to remove this bully, Iran, from this. Because anything happens, like in the Straits of Hormuz, look what happened in Yemen, how they mess up with the ships, which impedes our life, cause things to go prices higher or lower. So these things are important. We remove all of that, the ideology. What Trump is doing now is killing the ideology. The only thing we have to worry about is if the sleeper cells will be awoken. But once we get rid of the head of the snake, and we're not even putting troops there, we're going to surgically remove this tumor from the world, and then we'll see what happens with the rogue people. That's what we got to worry about. So when you're out with your family and your friends, always have a swiveled head, okay?
Okay, I appreciate the call. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. Okay, I kind of get it. The swiveled head. I don't know. That's a new one for me. Let me tell you, this is such a good thing that's going on now with Iran, and again, it's only good. The problem is, like these other wars we were in, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Okay, those wars were never fought with the intention of winning them. They wanted to prolong them, right? They always talk about rules of engagement. Right. And, like even in Vietnam, the rules of engagement didn't allow our military to shoot first. They had to be only, I'm sure that they didn't abide by that. But I mean, and remember the story that President Trump told about Raising Cane, who's now the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, brought him out of retirement for that. Taking out, he's like, yeah, we could take him out, but we got to do this, we got to do that. And he said, do it. And ISIS was done like in how long? A couple weeks they took out ISIS. We have overwhelming military strength that's never been used. And I'm not talking about nuclear weapons. We have conventional weapons and intelligence that's never used because the other presidents are on the take for these big corporate military industrial complex donors. And they either don't have the guts or they never have the desire to end the wars. They want to prolong them. And President Trump is telling them that we're gonna unleash everything on you and it's going to be over. And because the United States has not done that since the Second World War, and we've been toying with Iran since 1979, I just don't think they're going to believe it. I think it's going to take at least one more strike, and they still may not believe it. Because if you remember, 9/11 happened because they attacked us. They attacked the World Trade Center once. They attacked the embassies in Africa, and they attacked the USS Cole, and there was no response. So they figured, these Americans, they'll never come after us. And so they knocked down the World Trade Center, right? That 9/11 happened. And I think Iran is in that mindset. And they're going to be very, very surprised very soon if they don't make a deal. And do you see any scenario where they're worried, Steve, Iran? I don't see it. They don't care about their own people getting killed. They care about themselves, and they think they're...
Well, I don't know. I think they understand got their back to the wall. I mean, just because they're done doesn't mean they're stupid.
A lot of it depends. President Trump released this statement on Truth Social. A lot of it depends. I don't know if the Ayatollah reads and speaks English fluently. So a lot of it goes based on how it's read to him by his translator, right? With where the emphasis is put. But I want to tell people about the free doorbell camera offer from Slomin's. This is an amazing deal. Slomin's is offering you a free doorbell camera that connects directly to your cell phone with the installation of your Slomin Shield. They're also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts, a lifetime warranty, a backup battery, plus you'll receive a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Slomin Shield. Give them a call. It's toll-free, 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050. All right, so we got a busy weekend, right? We've got...
that's for sure.
Possibly, we've got the Battle of Los Angeles is continuing. I mean, they're doing these immigration riots all over America. They've been trying to pull them.
I don't think it's going to be limited to Los Angeles over the weekend. I think it's going to expand out.
No. So we've got the No Kings thing going on over the weekend. We've got the Army Parade tomorrow, which is also the president's birthday. Monday is the 10th anniversary of our favorite president coming down the escalator. And plus, we may have the Third World War, starting with Israel and Iran over there. So it's a busy news time. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. But I do know this. Trump is always right and always wins in the end. And I have no doubt that it's not going to turn into World War III. This is going to be, if they don't make this deal in Iran and they don't do it quick, there's going to be the next attack is going to be more severe than anything they've ever seen. And if they don't make a deal after that, the third one will be the last one.
Well, I guess we're all going to have to come back on Monday and see how it plays out.
Yeah. If they don't make a deal after the second attack, the third one will be the last one. It'll be so massive and devastating to the leadership over there. I mean, there's not going to be a fourth one. There's not. And I don't think Israel has ever had permission to respond with the full force before, ever. I don't think they've even yesterday came close to full force. But the Iranians, I tell you, they're on another planet than we're all on. Well, listen, guys, that's all the time we have for the week. We will be back Monday covering all of this. And you guys always know you can always catch me all the time because I'm always online and things over the weekend and everything because there's so much going on. I'll be in touch a lot over the weekend, and Monday's going to be a big show. I know that I was going tomorrow. I was going to go over to the Gulf of America over in Naples, Florida. Go to the Gulf of America. I haven't been to the Gulf of America since it became the Gulf of America, but I've canceled all my plans because tomorrow's the parade and everything, and I don't want to miss that. And then, of course, Father's Day, the most important day of the year, Steve, that is on Sunday.
What time does this parade go?
I know it's going to be an all-day event, but towards the evening, around 5 or 6, are when the major festivities are going to happen. The Golden Knights are parachuting right in front of the president. All right, listen, guys. God bless America. God bless Donald Trump. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane has been here. My name's Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest-running radio show. We'll see you Monday morning at 6 a.m. All right, guys. I got to run. I got a lot to do today. As tired as I got a lot to do today, but I will be back throughout the weekend because there's so much news going on. So make sure that if you're new, you subscribe and click that notification bell, guys. All right? Take care.